Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitatu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we will chant, I think it is up to 22, one more than what we normally do. We did 20, yeah. So we'll chant up to 22 today. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karne. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Mudhajahi Dhana Gama Trishnam Kuru Satbuddhim Manasi Vitrishnam Yallabhase Nij Karmo Patam Vittam Tena Vinodaya Chittam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Nari Stana Bharana Videsham Drishtva Maga Mohavesham Etanaman Savasadi Vikaram Manasi Vichintayava Varam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Nalini Dalgata Jalamati Taralam Tatvajivitam Atishaya Chapalam Vidhi Vyadhyapima Nagrastam Lokam Shokahatam Cha Samastam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Yavat Vittoparjanasa Tahatavat Nija Parivaro Rakta Paschachivati Jara Jara Dehe Vartam Kopina Prachati Gehe. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Yavat Pavano Nivasati Dehe Tavat Pruchati Kushalam Gehe Gatavati Vayau Deha Pai Bharya Bipyati Tasmin Kai. Bhaj Govindam, भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते बालस्तावत् क्रीडा सक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणी सक्त वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्त परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्त भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारो यमतीव विचित्र कस्य त्वं ककुत आयात तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रात भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवनमुक्ति भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते वयसि गते कामविकार शुष्के नीरे काकसार क्षीणे वित्ते का परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसार भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेषात् काल सर्वं मायामयम् इदम् अखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते दिन्यामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिर वसन्तौ पुनरायात काल क्रीडति गच्छत्यायु तदपि न मुञ्चति आशावायु भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते काते कान्ता धनगत चिन्ता वातुलकिं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगति रेखा भवति भवार्णवतरणे नौका भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते जटिलो मुण्डि लुञ्चित केशः काशा याम्बर बहुकृत वेश पश्यन् अपि च न पश्यति मूढो युधरनिमित्तं बहुकृत वेश भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते अङ्गं गलितं पलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डं वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चति आशापिण्डम् भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते अग्रे बन्हि पृष्ठे भानु रात्रो चुबुकसमर्पितजानु करुतल भिक्षा तरुतलवास तदपि न मुञ्चति आशापाश भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं प्रत्परिपालनम् अथवा दानं ज्ञानविहीन सर्वमतेन भजति न मुक्तिं जन्मशतेन भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सुरमन्दिर तरुमूल निवासः शय्या भूतलम् अजिनं वास सर्वपरिग्रह भोगत्याग कस्य सुखं न करोति विराग भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीन यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गंगा जललवकणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते रत्याचर्पट विरचित कथः पुण्या पुण्य विवर्जित पंथः योगी योग नियोजित चित्तो रमते बालोन्मत्तव देव भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. So last week we saw verse number 20. The verse number 20 told us that if we study a Gita a little bit, study, but it is not just study, but making it part of us, which means having a vision that Gita gives. Or Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita, have had a drop of the water of Ganges. Ganges represents knowledge and devotion. So if our vision comes from knowledge, and we had talked about the knowledge cycle, and if we had even had a dialogue with Lord Murari, which is Krishna, who is the destroyer of Murari, then we will not have ever a discussion with Yama, the Lord of Death. We had said death is nothing but a change. The change is, in the death of the flower is the birth of a fruit. In the death of the fruit is the birth of a seed. In the death of the seed is the birth of a sapling, and this change continues. We just look, because we look at it as this body dying, we feel that it is final, but it is not final. This change continues, and that which is eternal always remains there. So to get to be established in that vision is a little bit of study of Gita, and then applying that which we have studied. Just scholarly study is not what is meant here. Then he also says, or a little bit of knowledge. So study of Gita a little bit, which means what does Gita teach? In essence, Gita teaches us to practice karma, bhakti, jnana. Whatever is our personality, we should take it on, practice it, and bring it into our lives. For all of us, Sri Aurobindo used to say that we have to use all three of them. They are the trident with which we break this veil of ignorance. We are not just people of great thinking and only thinking. We are not people who like to just be devotees, or we are not people who are idle either. We like to do some things. So through devotion, our action should be inspired. And that inspired action, we should constantly be analytical about our action and about the reality, both. What is, if we are constantly aware and we are thinking, the goals that we set will become higher and higher. And as we set higher and higher, the goals become nobler and nobler. Ultimately, when we come to recognize that me and this creation are not separate, the noblest goal will express through our action, which is for the welfare of the entire creation. And when we work in that manner, there will be no environmental issues that we are facing today. We will not be working purely from selfishness, caring only for ourselves and not for the rest of the creation. This was beautifully also brought out in an event that happened with Sri Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was again a great master of the level of Jagadguru Shankaracharya. In Sri Rangam, there is a temple, and that temple, they have, processions taken out and on festive times. And on one of those procession days, when Ramanujacharya was there was this young man, Dhanurdas, who was holding an umbrella over a lady called Himamba. And he kept on looking at her, Himamba. In this procession, young man, just without blinking his eyes, kept on looking at this lady. When Ramanujacharya saw this, he called the man over. He told people to call him and asked him. So the man introduced himself as Dhanurdas. And he also said, that I am looking at Himamba because she has the most beautiful eyes. So at that time, Ramanujacharya tells him, tomorrow when we do Aarti at the temple, come with me into the Garbha Graha, which is the Sanctum Sanctorum. Join me at that time. So next day, Dhanurdas joins Ramanujacharya at the time of the Aarti. And as we are all familiar, that the Garbhagriha is very dark. And the Aarti is, in some of these temples, the lamp is lit very well. So, and as it was going from, one aspect of the deity to the other, when it came to the eyes of the deity, Ramanujacharya caught hold of Dhanurdas's hand and said, look at these eyes and look at the beauty of these eyes. And it was at this moment that Dhanurdas saw the beauty of divinity. And from that day, he became a disciple of Ramanujacharya. Not only did he become, but even Hemamba, both of them joined Ramanujacharya. Now, what we have to understand from this story is that till now, we are only used to seeing the beauty outside. And that beauty is directing all our actions. When we say beauty, we see the beauty and joy and wealth, ability to get what will give us happiness and joy. But this, when the vision is turned, is directed to that divine within us, sometimes that may come from an external thing, but it will change we will redirect our vision internally. That will have an external manifestation also. And then our actions will, spring from devotion and knowledge. And those actions bring joy to all. So this is what he says. And then change will not matter to us, because we will be established in the changeless, which is our true nature. And that is what this verse 20 is directing us, to get that vision, which Dhanurdas got with Ramanujacharya, which we may get just through study, through surrendering to a higher and a nobler goal and being devoted to that goal. That is what happened to Mahatma Gandhi. What was his higher and nobler goal? A dignity to the people of India. Just that one goal. And when did that come? It came from a personal incident. When he was thrown out of the train, he felt the pain. But when he felt the pain, he also felt what the others who face indignity feel. We don't feel that. When we can feel that, that is when the transformation happens. And these studies help us become sensitive in that manner. So then, of course, the next one is again a very famous verse, which is so most of us even know this one. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare, kripiya pare pahi murare. So this is an ardent prayer. It is a prayer of a person who feels his helplessness after having walked the path of sadhana, after having done Bhagavad Gita, tried to implement it in life, tried to bring that knowledge into his life, and to direct his actions through the knowledge, and having remembered Lord Murari, but yet he or she finds himself caught up in this world of change, not yet established in that ultimate goal. So this person is calling out, now I have done everything. I am helpless and I'm still in this cycle of change. And what I'm now looking for is your grace, because through your grace, maybe now that is the only thing remaining, and I will be taken up. So he says, to go through this cycle of birth and death. Birth is painful, death is painful. And he's also saying to be in the womb of the mother is total dependence on the mother. So he says, and to go through this cycle again and again, the cycle of change, which brings along with it a lot of pain and suffering. So this samsara is very difficult to cross, and it is bahudustare, very hard to cross across, to go across. Oh Murari, oh the destroyer of the ego, as we had told the story in the last class, killer of Mura, the demon Mura, please take me across. And he is appealing for the grace. He's surrendering totally now. And in that surrender, the ego gets pulverized. the ego is destroyed, and that will lead to the ultimate state. If and the, very similar to this verse, it was the fourth verse. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam tatvad jivitam atishaya chapalam. So our life, is like the drop of water on the lotus leaf. We don't know when it will drop back into the ocean, but it is full of vyadhi, adi, of worries and stress and tension. So this short life, we want to make it a blissful life, and that will only come through this grace now, after having done all our practices. So here we get a feeling that being born again is a problem. Being born again and again is not a problem at all. It is not knowing our true identity which is a problem. Buddha chose to be born again and again, to come again, to relieve the suffering of people. And Ras Khan, who was a great devotee of Krishna, he wrote many beautiful couplets. Now, I don't know this couplet by heart, but I will share with you the essence of the couplet. He wrote that if I am born again, and if I am born as a stone, I would like to be the stone of Yamuna. If I am born as a tree, I would like to be the Parijatak or the Kadamba tree in Vrindavan. If I am born again as an animal, I would like to be the cow. And if I am born as a human, I would like to be a gopi. In every form that I am born again, I should know my identity with the divine. Being born again is not the problem. It is not knowing my connection with the divine, my identity with the divine. So that is the aspect of being born again and again. There are two cycles, as I said, of birth. One is the external cycle. The other is the internal cycle, which is of knowledge. If you remember, in our initial introduction, we had said, based on our knowledge, we get a vision of life. Based on our vision of life, our intellect desires. Based on our desires, our mind thinks and prompts our body into action. Actions give results, and these results further strengthen or weaken our knowledge. So it is this cycle we want to be established in the absolute knowledge, the knowledge of divine. And then we will become instruments of the divine, rather than being this limited entity, individual who we are. So what is the cycle that we want to break? Is this cycle of ignorance. Although we say this is the cycle of knowledge, that knowledge is coming from ignorance, limited knowledge. And once we are established in knowledge, then we will not go through this. We will not feel the pain of this change. We all know that even in our lives, we go through births and rebirths. For example, now I'm converted to free market. I'm converted to socialist pattern of life. We all are born again. We Hindus call it Dvija, and only a second life when we get the Gayatri mantra. What is the Gayatri mantra? Why are we born again at that time? The Gayatri mantra is, we start with Om, Bhur, Bhuvaha, Swaha. These three are the Vyahartis. There are 7 Vyahartis, which talks about existence at these 7 different levels, and we will not go into that. But our existence today is at 3 levels of consciousness: waking, dream, and deep sleep state of consciousness. So these 3 states of consciousness, Tat Savitur Varenyam, that sun the illuminating principle because of which I know my three states of consciousness. It is that conscious principle in us because of which we are aware of those three states of consciousness. And that Savitur, that conscious principle is most adorable. Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. It is Bhargaha, self-effulgent, illuminator, Devasya, illuminator, and I meditate upon that conscious principle. And what do I want? I want that to illuminate my intellect so that all my choices are made through brilliance, sharp intellect through knowledge. That is our Gayatri mantra. If we understand the meaning and if we live through brilliance and intelligence fully, in the clear light, seeing things clearly as they are, that is when we are born again. So that is what is being referred to here, is then we will not suffer what we see as change, which is death. We know that we are eternal, immortal. We will be established in that immortality. The change comes to the body, the change comes to the mind, the change comes to the intellect. Then only, like Narsi Mehta, we will be able to say, Bhalu thayu bhangi janjar, sukti bhajishu Sri Gopal. It is not that he didn't love his wife, he did not feel the pain. He said, now the time I have, which I was, even that little time which I was giving to my wife, I will give to Sri Gopal, Sukhe Bhajisu. So I'm just looking at the time. How much time? I think we have about 5 minutes, Bhuvnesh. So then I will, do I have time to start the second one, or shall we go say the concluding prayers and meet? Is anybody, how much time do we have? Can anybody? I'm just looking, it's 5 minutes. Then we will conclude here. We will take the next one next class. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet.
We have 5 minutes available.
Okay, good. So we can all meet for 5 minutes. I hope everybody is doing fine.
Oh.
Hi, Neera. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Well, thank you. Yes. Tushar, you were getting me a little worried when you didn't come in initially.
Yes.
You are on mute.
Tushar, unmute. Tushar, unmute.
Okay. Yeah, now you can hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you now.
So, actually, I was into something, doing something, and I forgot the time. And then suddenly I realized it is already time. So I logged in, but I logged in a little late.
Yes, as long as you are all right. I was only worried about your health.
Yes, I'm fine.
Good.
It's okay.
Bhuma is not here now.
Bhuma is busy on Saturdays.
Yeah, yesterday she was saying I will try tomorrow, but then it seems that she has so many things, her gardening, etc.
Yes. She gets busy.
Yeah. Kanchi, how are you? Kanchi, where is she? She was here before.
much
Yeah, she's here. I can see her, but she's mute. I think we can't hear her.
No, she's unmuted, but I think she has audio problem. Like last.
Kanchi always has problems, and Ketan has to be with me to solve her problem. Kanchi, Ketan nathi. Kanchi na problem solve karwa. I have to have Ketan with me. Two of us together solve all Kanchi's problems. He's missing. Kanchi, how is Jalpa?
Shilpa, I cannot see her.
No, now
Yeah,
I
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Kado piyeje, kado.
Oh, to keep away COVID?
Yeah, we are trying to keep away. I'm not sure.
Like
Very difficult.
Isana,
How is this?
Homemade kada.
so many things.
What did you make it with?
I add cinnamon powder, black pepper powder. No long. Turmeric powder, jaggery, fresh mint leaves. That's it.
That's it. Oh, very nice.
Then
No,
while
honey.
drinking, we used to add lemon juice and tulsi ras.
Okay, good.
I've got a drop. A person is making it in Maharashtra, somewhere near Nasik. Puts all these things in extract, and you just put a drop, and it is as good as your standard this thing.
Yeah, but it is somewhat. It may contain some preservative. This is fresh one, na?
No preservative. It is pure natural.
But still, this is fresh one. I prefer this one.
Yeah, fresh one is better, I think.
You have to get all those things.
I also add ginger, fresh crushed ginger.
What is this news about black fungus? A lot of people are getting
Only 1 minute left.
It's
Okay. A lot of people infected with black fungus?
Yes.
One of my cousin was also
Day before
infected.
yesterday, one of my
He is
old friends,
suffering too much.
expired because of that.
Or died?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
He was
That
working
is
in
because
LD college.
steroids have
What?
caused that.
He was in ICU.
Because of diet?
Time.
Hello?
Uh,
What is the reason for mucormycosis? Bhunesh bhai? Diet?
Fungus infection
Or
because
sugar?
of all these exposure to various other things. It is kind of, super bug in ICU.
That's true.
Here they are saying that it is because of steroids that your immune system is suppressed, and that is causing these black fungus. Spores are in nature everywhere, but
Yes.
Steroids have caused suppression of the immune system.
Because of negligence of
As
the
well as it also increases the sugar level. Steroid helps to increase sugar level.
people
That
say
is
that
another factor.
because of negligence of not cleaning the things properly, with disinfectants.
Yes, that's true.
Tushar, you are completely